Hey everybody, it's Keith Hoxton here from Malaysia, coming to you live from Penang. And I'm just going to kick you guys off with a good feel thing, which is the view. I just looked out there and I'm just thinking it looks an amazing day out there today. I haven't been out, but it's pretty cool. And that's the view from my apartment, just down there. So that's a cool thing to kick off with, and a good feel good thing for the day to kick off with. So I'm actually here to, I guess the main thing International Living want me to talk to you about today is the visa situation and what's happening in Malaysia and how it's all kind of going forward. So Malaysia has opened up now. So the only thing that isn't open in Malaysia are hairdressing salons and barbershops and things like that. But as of next week, Malaysia opens up fully again to the international market. So what that means for us is that because we've had zero COVID cases here now in a month, is that everything returns to normal, whatever that new normal is. The I said in a post earlier on that I did a trip into Georgetown on Sunday, just to have a look around, and it was eerily quiet. There was virtually no one around, and it took me back to when I first came here 10 years ago. Most of the cafes that had sprung up in 2015, 16, 17, all gone. Everything was closed. And when I first came back here, when I first arrived here in 2010, the cafe scene, there was only one. There was only one cafe in Georgetown, and I think two kind of really good restaurants. And it was an amazing kind of tranquil colonial place to come to. So we used to sit out. I had a bunch of Chinese friends, local friends that I used to go into Georgetown and meet, and I'd sit in this city that had been around since 1786, and it was incredibly tranquil. There was a colonialism about it. There was a feeling that a really good energy about being in Georgetown. And of course, then Georgetown and Penang and Malaysia kind of erupted onto the international scene at about 2014, 15, 16, and then everything changed. Well, Sunday was actually like going back to when I first arrived. And it was nice in one way and really sad in other ways because all those businesses that gave us so much more choice and with international flavor had suddenly gone. And I have a feeling now that that's going to be the new norm. When the world starts to open up, as Malaysia is starting to open up, all those small businesses, they're just not going to be there anymore. And I think that's the world that we have to get used to, kind of moving forward out of COVID into 2021. And of course, while I sit here in Malaysia, the world seems to be erupting around us. I'm watching the news and seeing what's going on in the US, the UK. Paris was burning. I just saw that on the news, and we're in a really strange place. And I think people have to really get to grips with that, get to grips with the change. And until the disparity, changes, then we're going to continue to see this kind of upheaval. That aside, it's international living are all about creating dreams, and I've been part of that whole dream process because I've done that whole entire change as well, right? So I was part of that change in 2010. And I've been to numerous international living conferences now where I know that one 20-minute conversation really can change your entire life. I've been part of that whole process. It's amazing actually being in Penang because I keep on bumping into people that, not since shutdown, but prior to shutdown, I even gave a historical talk because I'm known here more as a historian than I am from an international living thing. And I had a guy on a bus who was from New York and who I didn't recognize. And he said to me after the historical tour, he said, "Hey, you don't recognize me, do you?" And I'm like, "Nope." And he said, "I actually came to one of your conferences. I think it was in 2016." And he said, "I've been living here now with my family, for 4 years." And he said, "I just wanted to say that 20-minute conversation changed my life." And that actually brings it home, right? Those type conversations bring it home. And I've said this often at conferences, we don't sell I don't sell anything. I mean, I'm not in the business of selling stuff. But what you inadvertently sell is the lifestyle that you lead. And I think even with COVID and the shutdowns that we've had, that lifestyle and that dream should still be with you. And I just want to show you something else. This is really cool. This is how we've opened up. I just want to see. Can you guys see that down there? There's actually a guy stand-up paddleboarding right outside my window, and that's the cool thing about living this dream is that places like Malaysia, where I live and where you guys should think about moving to, even with COVID and the shutdown, you still have to keep your dreams alive because eventually this will be over and those dreams will, you'll be able to manifest them and actually do something really wild. And just down the beach, that end, I came across a couple about a month ago who were stranded here. They'd actually came from the Ukraine. Really, really nice couple, but they got stranded here during shutdown. And they were saying that they were traveling through Hong Kong and ended up in Malaysia, and then suddenly all the borders closed and they were stuck in Malaysia. And they were saying that they couldn't have wished for a better place to be stranded. I mean, you guys were going through winter at that stage, and I know Northern Hemisphere you're starting to change. But they've actually, I've become really good friends with those guys. Um, and they're now thinking about moving to Malaysia because they've been here now 3 months during shutdown. And of course, they're stuck on this beach. I mean, it couldn't be a worse place to be. So, how the visa system, what's going on with that? Well, last year, the tourism industry turned the visa system over to a different section because they were getting so many applications from mainland China. And what they've actually done, what they did over the ensuing year, was slowed down the applications from mainland China and then started accepting more applications from the Northern Hemisphere, North America, Canada, and Europe. And that process is now in full swing. It shut down during COVID and now it's back and it's being reactivated again. So the visa system here is pretty much for everybody, is pretty easy. You guys, when the international airports finally open up, and I think that's going to be in August, you guys will be able to come into Malaysia on a 3 month visa and stay for that 3 months. Come and go as you like during that 3 months, and you can actually, if you decide that you want to stay, you can actually then go through the visa application process while you're here. If you're not coming to Malaysia, you can actually still go through the visa application process online. And the company that you want to do it through, because they're all government regulated now, is called Alter Domus, ALTERDOMUOS. Alter Domus. If you just Google Alter Domus MM2H, Malaysia, my second home visa, they should come up. That company will come up. I actually did my visa through those guys 10 years ago, and they're still in operation now, and they're a very, very good organization. The guy that you want to speak to there is called TG, and TG, he's a Chinese guy, excellent English, and very, very reactive to emails. Like he'll literally respond to you within 24 hours of you sending him an email. The process hasn't changed. All the stipulations under MM2H are still the same. So if you're over 50, you still have to deposit 150,000 ringgit. Just divide it by 4.3, guys, to get your exchange rate. You still have to put that on acceptance into a bank account in Malaysia of your choice, and that just sits there earning interest on your behalf. But that's only once you've been received into the system. The only money you have to put up, and this is where I'm going with this, is that if anyone tells you anything different, then come back to me. But the only money you have to put up to go through the visa system is when you decide you're going to sign with an agent. Okay, so TG will answer as many questions as you want, free of charge, as literally as many questions as you have. And then when you decide that it's a system that you want to sign into, that's when they'll ask for their fee. And I think that fee is about, and it covers everything from start to finish. There's nothing else on the peripheral or in between or at the end. It's $2,000. And that's a one-off application fee, and he'll take you through the entire process for that and keep you informed all the way through. So it's pretty good. So you have to put that deposit down when you're accepted, and you have to show an income of $2,000 per month, roughly $2,000 per month. coming up to as on application. Um, and then you have to show liquid assets outside Malaysia, and that is changing. So the liquid assets outside Malaysia are either shares, property, any kind of trust fund, any investments that you have, to the tune of about $100,000. Just trying to do the exchange, the mental exchange rate in my head. And really, that's it. Then it's just a case of applying. As of last year, visa acceptances were getting through quite quickly. I think they had the process down to 4 months, and you can do all of this online. And even if you can't travel and you can't get to Malaysia, the only time that you have to get here is when the Malaysian government has actually accepted you. Is when TG turns around and says to you, "Okay, you guys are accepted." Then you have a year to get to Malaysia to then sign all the documentation. So they actually give you that entire window, and maybe even with shutdown, they'll extend that window even further. But you don't have to rush over here and kind of do anything before it all starts. So that's pretty much it. It's a really easy system. I don't think there's any other system like it in Southeast Asia, in the world actually. I don't think even Thailand. Thailand has really kind of clamped down on their visa system, but none of them offer you the 10-year visa that Malaysia offers you and allows you to come and live here.